Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Women Winning Wednesday night call. My name is Chanel Burt. I'm a Senior Vice President, Circle of Champions member with this amazing ACN opportunity. And I want to welcome each and every one of you tonight as we host this call every single Wednesday for you guys to hear from a phenomenal woman throughout the ACN opportunity from all over the world, actually, that is a regional director or above, for you to hear their story as well as their training. And this call is led by women, but it is for everyone. So hopefully you have been promoting this to everybody on your team, anybody that is still making a decision to partner up with us in ACN, but then to get a different perspective of how this has worked for somebody else. This call is really designed to empower, encourage, and equip you so that we can help more of everybody. I'm not going to just say women, but to help everybody continue to rise through the ranks of ACN. And, it's just phenomenal because a lot of times we don't get to hear from the people that we hear from on this call unless it's here, not a big international or company-wide call until now. But once you get to certain positions in ACN, listen, I believe that you know how to build it. And once you learn it, you do it, you can teach it to other people. So I'm always so honored to host this call and get to call the person that's going to be speaking this evening. And when I say I don't tell anybody what to say, it is completely up to them. And every single call has been completely different. We've been hosting this call for the last 2.5 years now, and there has not been one call that is the same. So I hope you guys are ready to take some notes, to be filled with whatever she's going to bring to the table tonight, because you just never know how the message is going to help not just transform your business, but ultimately transform your life. Now, we know that the next Game On event is coming up in June, so make sure you get pre-registered for that. And it's not just about you doing it, it's about you having as many people as you possibly can get pre-registered for the registration price that has been extended through the end of the month. So let's make sure that we are promoting that heavy. And guys, with that being said, I am going to get out of the way because I am so excited for you to hear from the woman that's going to be on the call with us this evening. Man, I can't wait for you guys to hear her story. And a lot of times the training can be in the story. Okay. So I know she was so excited. And it's so funny, especially when I know the person that's going to be on the call, not just from afar, but for them to feel so excited to be on. And, she's like, oh my gosh, I can't breathe when she got the call. But I am so excited for her to be on here with you guys tonight. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to turn the call over to a top producer, somebody that has a passion for helping people. I'm going to turn the call over to Regional Director, Miss Ebony Wheeler. Thank you so much for being on the call with us tonight.
Thank you so much, Ms. Burt. Mrs. Burt, am I coming through clearly?
You are perfect.
Okay, perfect. Oh my gosh. Okay, first I wanted to start out and say, after listening to this call for so many years, am I back?
Yep.
Okay, so after listening to this call for so many years, guys, it is so true that when she calls you, I think everything stops. Like, you know how Beyonce said, world stop? It's like world stop. So I was sitting in the car. I was with the person who introduced me to the business, top producer and regional director, Miss Carla House. And we were game planning on like our new strategy for our DMO. So we was together. I was doing some stuff on my phone, working on some qualifications, and I got a call. I was finishing up what I did on my call, so I didn't answer. And then I got a text. Hey, Ebony, this is Chanel Burt. And I was like, oh my God, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And Carla was like, what's wrong? And I was like, Mrs. Burt just text me. And I was like, honestly, in my head, I was like, maybe she wants a yoga class, but I've been manifesting this women winning call. So it could be either one. So I just was so excited. And so I'm truly honored to be on this call, Mrs. Burt, because, since I've been involved in ACN, I have been watching you. I have been just admiring you and all the things that you've done in the business as a woman, as a mom, as a wife, as a mentor, and just all the people that you just inspire and help, not just in Coalition, but across the globe. So seeing the impact that you have on people is just very inspiring. So I am just super excited. Okay. All right, now that I got a little bit of my nerves out the way, hello, everybody. Hello, ACN world. My name is Ebony Wheeler, and I've been involved for ACN for 4.5 years, going on 5 years. And I'm celebrating that because I have prior experience in network marketing, and I was one of those people. Somebody's talking about me as the quitter in those other companies. I was I tried travel. I was 19 when I tried Primerica. Just so many different network marketing companies that I started, and I didn't stick around to any of them. So I just want to first start by introducing myself as an entrepreneur, as a mom, as a mentor, as a youth advocate, as a community advocate. And so, I had prior experience in network marketing, but I was one of those people that said I was never, ever, ever doing network marketing again. I said I was just not touching it. I didn't have the time. I joined these companies. I didn't get any help. I didn't have a mentor. I had people like throw some like paperwork at me when I did travel. I didn't realize that I was going to have to like go to school and get all these certifications to be able to do Disney and this and that. It was so much, and I didn't have any help, and I always worked, right? So I eventually just quit all of those companies. So to say that I've been involved for ACN for almost 5 years, and still just pushing and wanting to be involved with ACN for so many more years, it's just a testament to the company. But it's also a testament to, who we're partnered with in the business. So my message today through my story is going to simply be keep going and be all in. Most of us on this call are in ACN. Some of us on this call are not in ACN. You may be taking a look at it for the first time, or you're on this call just to see, the type of people that you would be partnered with if you decided to join ACN. Well, my message, like I said, is to keep going and to be all in. Whatever you decide to do. My mentor, Mr. Keon Lomax, he always says how you do anything is how you do everything, and so my journey at ACN, it has had its ups and it has had its downs. It has been at a plateau. And, through all of those things, I've just leaned on the system. I've leaned on my mentors. I've leaned on the training. I've leaned on my why. And I just kept going, and I'm all into ACN. So wanting to just kind of talk about like my professional experience as a network marketing person. Like I said, I started at 19. I was very young. I decided to quit. I moved into another company. I had some success in these companies, guys, but what it was I didn't have the support, and I wasn't coachable. So me saying that I didn't have the support, that's very important. But as I started to grow into a leader in ACN and understanding what it means to be coachable, what it means to be a leader, I started to realize that even back then, I could have been the one to advance my journey in those other companies if I was just coachable, if I just looked at the emails, if I got on the training call and not worried about what the person who recruited me was doing. See, the person that recruited me wasn't doing anything with the company. They decided to quit on their while, on whatever reason they decided to stop doing the business, or they recruited me and I guess they thought I was going to help them sail off into the sunset, but I could have stepped up for my own fate and my own destiny, so I actually am going to start changing my language around the fact that I joined network marketing companies and then it didn't work because I didn't have any help. Ultimately, now that I know what a true leader is and what it truly means to step up for your business and do something for yourself and not rely on someone else to hand you something, I know the difference, and I'm using that now in my business and what I teach my business partners. See, I was a professional employee, so someone always told me what to do. Whether even if I had to be independent at work, it was laid out the tasks that needed to be done for that day on the to-do list. I knew how much I was getting paid. I was getting paid at the end of the 2 weeks, whether I completed the task or not, So I was used to that employee mindset, not being a self starter on my own dreams, So just being a professional employee. God stepped in on my journey. My background from employees, I was an armed security officer for 8 years. I got into the field right when I had my son. I was 21 years old when I started working in the field. And I did that for about 8 years. I was good at what I did. I moved up through the ranks. I was Lieutenant Wheeler, Sergeant Wheeler, Lieutenant Wheeler, Captain Wheeler, even went up to being Major Wheeler, the youngest, highest ranking officer in the building in the whole company at the time. And I was working for government buildings, the Department of Transportation here in Washington, D.C. And I transferred jobs. I went to another company, and God, when it's time for me to move, well, I'm talking to everybody. When it's time for you to move, God will tell you. Your life will become uncomfortable. We have to start paying attention to the signs, because although I love security and I moved up through the ranks, I started to feel just heavy. I started to feel like I was like losing some like brain cells, just kind of like checking IDs, just doing the same mundane thing every single day, standing on post, like taking just so much like slack from people who work in the buildings and people who don't want to comply. And I got tired of having to go, shoot at the gun range. So if there's any officers, security officers on this call tonight, relying, like taking all your time on the job, on the overtime that's mandatory when you're at work and you can't get off post because you don't have relief, and they tell you have to stay 4 to 6 more hours. Like, I know what that is, and that's no way to live, because I recruited some security officers. You get paid a lot of money to do that, but that's upfront money. And also, they pay you to lose your dreams because you have to work so many hours and you're just standing on this post. I swear, guys, I was like losing brain cells doing that job, and it started tugging at my heart. You have to qualify at the range every 6 months. It was just so much going on. Without getting too deep into that story, just know that things started to get very difficult at work after having a very successful career in security. And this one, building that I worked in my last year in security, I cried every single day at work. I prayed to God to get me off that post. There's a post that I share on my Facebook every single year because it comes up as my Facebook memory, where I took a picture of the x-ray machine, the bucket, the little machine, and I was like, I'm getting off this post, and entrepreneurship is in my near future. That was in 2014, so I was so just tired. I was so just like worn out to the point where I would go take breaks in the bathroom of this government building and cry. Now that was putting, like my job and everything in jeopardy, because I'm a security officer with a weapon on my hip, and I'm crying in the bathroom because I just want to go home. I just feel like I don't want to do this anymore. And I'm praying to God, and I kept saying, God, I know that you have something bigger for me to do. I know that it's something I'm supposed to do in this world. Like, just tell me what it is, And so a brief story about that. Something happened with my paperwork. To this day, I say that it was a miracle and God removed the paperwork. But after working for this one company for 3 years, having my security clearances, having everything, my range papers, my CPR, having everything like in the file, all of a sudden some paperwork was missing out of my file, and I couldn't work on any armed posts, so I couldn't carry my weapon. I had to work on unarmed posts. They didn't have unarmed posts in the building. So now I'm losing hours because I'm stuck working events that need an unarmed officer, which is sparingly until they give me range time. I have to qualify for CPR and first aid all over again. Like, all of these things started to happen. And this story is very powerful, guys, because I said in the beginning of this, I prayed to get out of that building. I prayed every single day. I cried every single day. And here I am working with top official officers, trying to figure out what happened. I'm opening up investigations. I'm getting all the paperwork for my equip. That's your 10-year background check back together. I'm getting all this paperwork together, going in meetings and boardrooms, y'all. And one day I sat up in my bed as I was having a breakdown about, like, I have a son, a small kid. I'm like trying to pay my bills. I'm not working. I was literally having a breakdown. And after crying and sitting in my bed, the words just came. God spoke to me and said, you prayed for this. You prayed to get out. I prayed to get out of the field. Yet I was doing everything in my powers to get back in the field. And so I wasn't listening. As I was praying, I wasn't listening to what God was telling me. I wasn't listening. to what he was doing in my life. I wasn't really seeing what he was doing in my life because I was too distraught. So a lesson is that it's like when you pray, put the work in, but listen and act. Don't God it like he put it in my face and I was like, no, that ain't it, God, and was doing my own thing. And so that lesson right there kind of goes further into this story in my ACN journey. But I started listening and I stopped trying to get in. I literally just stopped. I called the officer that I was working with, the inspector that was helping me, and I said, I'm done. I'm over it. I don't want to work there anymore. I'll figure it out. I wasn't working. I stopped working. I was able to collect unemployment. And I fast forward, I ran into a good friend of mine who was working for an organization that was doing primary prevention and youth work. This is kind of like fast forward, but this is when God closes a door, he opens another door. So I ran into her just one day, just being out and about, and she was representing this organization, and the mission for the organization I resonated with. It was an organization that did primary prevention work for men and for women. I knew so many women that could benefit from the resources that they had. And so I started talking to her about all of those things. I started advocating for the app, the social media app that they had, posting it on my page just as a civilian. And about 2 weeks later, she gave me a call and asked me to do a press conference at the mayor's building about the app as a civilian in Washington, D.C. So I go, I do this press conference. I'm just like not thinking anything of it, guys. She said press conference at the mayor's building. So I'm just like, I'll go, I'll do it. I support this cause. I support this mission because I've always done community stuff, but I was just working security and I was making so much money. I wasn't thinking about doing anything else in life. I was thinking that was so much money, right? And so, when I got there, every news station you could think of was there. Channel 4, Channel 7, Channel 9, the executive director for the organization was just so many people there. And I spoke. And after I spoke, the executive director was just impressed with what I said. And actually, they offered me a job to work in youth development. I had no experience outside of running a homework club in my neighborhood for my friends' children and everybody else, kids in the neighborhood. I was just helping the kids with their homework in the evening, talking to them, just about different things, different life things, but I had no youth development experience. So God opened that door up for me. And 5 years later, I was the associate director of youth development. I thought I was living a life. You know how they give you a title? Well, they gave me a salary position. And anybody on this call know anything about being salary? They give you more hours than money. They work you on the weekends. They do whatever. You're basically a slave to them, and they cap your salary off. But I thought that I was doing well. Well, things started to go a little bit sour with that organization, as far as funding, as far as our being in line with what we wanted to do. So outside of ACN, I'm also a yoga instructor, and I wanted to incorporate some mindfulness tips and some yoga things into the youth program that I was building, that the curriculum that I was writing for this organization. And they paused, quit, because it was too much of me, too much of my stuff, and too much we're gonna have to give Ebony credit on this curriculum if she starts to incorporate too much of her ideals and her ideas for community work, so things started to get rocky, and I was already doing some work with top producer and regional director Carla House in the mindfulness industry. We was running an event called Meditation Monday. We were working together, and I had started just talking to her about how unhappy I was at work. God is just so powerful, y'all. I'm telling you, he listens. He listens. And if he sees you doing the work, he's going to put opportunities in your way. And we just have to listen and follow suit. Because I didn't know that talking to her about the things that I was going through at work was going to lead me to ACN. So God stepped in again. Like I said, things started to get very uncomfortable at work. I started thinking about this. I'm doing not one, I was the associate director for youth development. I was building the curriculum. And I was the facilitator for the whole entire program at all of these schools. So I'm doing 3 jobs for this organization. They trap me in a salary position, and they don't want to let me put in some of my real intellectual input outside of the intellectual property they already took from me. And I started to have another epiphany. And I started to feel uncomfortable at work again. And I started to pray to God for him to give me the tools and the resources I needed to be able to do yoga work and to do youth development work on my own. And I was praying and praying and praying and praying. And Carla House gave me a call. So on my notes I wrote the call, right? So if I could have put sub captions up there, it would have said the call. So she gave me a call and she said, hey, pretty much I want you to, take a look at something. I've been working with some people. I have a mentor. Gave me the standard like network marketing call. Someone who has network marketing experience. I knew what it was, but I was just like, nah, I never heard Carla, say anything about doing network marketing. So I don't think this is it. But because she's my friend, because we were doing business together, I just was like, I'm going to go. I'm a supporter. I'm about whatever she's selling. I'm not getting in. I'm just going to go. It was on a Monday that we did not have Meditation Monday. So she knew I was free. She knew my schedule. And she invited me out. And I showed up and I met the bald guy. And the bald guy was none other than top producing regional vice president, Mr. Anthony McMurray. And he was there and he did the presentation. And I was sitting there. I folded my arms. I don't know if anybody on the call said they wasn't doing network marketing and came out the ACN and got in, right? But I folded my arms because I liked it. And I sat back and I said, man, Carla got me at a network marketing event. And I said I wasn't doing this no more, but cell phones. And I just started thinking about I've never seen this before. So I gotta figure this out. I gotta figure it out. When they got to the money, ACN used to be $4.99. I was like, well, it's figured out. I'm moving. I got to pay rent in this house. I got to pay first month's rent and security deposit where I'm moving. I still got to pay rent where I'm at. I still got to, all right, I'm out, right? So then it was just like, no, let's work it out. Who can you borrow the money from? Like, how important is residual income to you? And then I thought about it, guys. It was the end of November, beginning of December. And Tony said something to me about income. Mr. McMurray said something to me about income. And I was like, man, it's the end of the year. I worked all year. Why do I not have an extra $500 to do this business? Because it used to be $499 to do ACN. That's what made me get in. I said, you can't keep working this hard for this company. Y'all heard me say I had 3 titles. 3 titles. You can't keep working this hard for this company and it's not yielding you the results that you really deserve. So I decided to get in. We said we shuffled some things around. We got some help and we got in the business. And then the other call. They told me, now I got in on over a weekend. I came to Saturday training, and at Saturday training, they told me, well, since you in now, the next week, we going to Phoenix for a convention. I said, first of all, I wasn't doing network marketing again. Then I didn't have the $500 to spend to really get in ACN. I'm out here on a Saturday. And now you're telling me I got to go to Phoenix next week all the way across the world. I'm in Washington, D.C. So I was just like, yeah, okay. So I didn't think I was going to Phoenix. Some of you guys have heard this story before. Long story short, that Friday morning, I was on a plane to Phoenix. That Friday evening, I was on the plane to Phoenix. Now, convention is typically Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I got to Phoenix. I sold convention for one day. I got there on pretty much Saturday morning, like 1 a.m. Friday night. We had to wake up at the crack of dawn to get into the arena. This is when things were in person, and I was just still didn't know what to expect, but I did it and I was there. And when we got into the arena, great things happened on the other side of being coachable because I wasn't going, y'all. They didn't know me. I don't know this bald guy for real. Carla's my friend. I can kind of fluff her around and tell her, I had a production. In youth work, I also have a certification to produce TV shows and things like that. And I was working on a teen talk show that day. So I literally left my production with the whole camera crew and everything to make it to Dallas, to get on the plane to go to Phoenix. So, success and great things happen on the other side of being coachable. Because when I got to this arena, this was my first time ever coming to a convention, being a part of network marketing. And this was my first time ever coming to a convention. And when I sat in the audience, it was all exciting. It was thousands of people. I saw it way bigger than the living room. I saw it way bigger than myself. So the convention did a few things for me. The convention painted some vision for me. And it showed me how supportive this business was. It showed me that people, this business wasn't just get in and there you go. Like if you don't make money, then we don't make money here in ACN. And so not only that, people really honestly just want you to win. You know, people really just they see greatness in you. They see something in you. If you've been piqued and you got into ACN because somebody called you and they piqued you, they saw something in you. That thing that you know is deep down right here in your heart. They saw it in you, right? So the convention helps bring that out of you, you know, and it shows you that you're gonna have support. But another thing that the convention did for me was it helped to seal the deal on a prophecy over my life. So a lot of people haven't heard this story, and I've talked on stage before, but I haven't told anybody this story. I was a few years before ACN, and this convention is where everything came full circle. A few years before ACN, I went to an event with my girlfriend, who is a minister, and the event was called 100 Women in White. It was a church event. And at the time, I was hosting and also serving as the marketing director for a women's entrepreneur expo. And I was also in charge of securing vendors, just different sponsorships and things like that. So she invited me to the event because she was singing. One, it was a church event to get, you know, my spiritual life together. And then 2 and 3, because she knew it would be vendors there that I could speak to about the Entrepreneur Expo. So she invites me to this event. I go to the event. Long story short, I'm there with business cards that says marketing director on them. I haven't talked to any of the vendors. We're eating, they're singing, you know, different people are preaching. And there's one woman from out of town. She didn't know me or my friend who invited me to this event. She got up and she started talking and she started preaching. And she walked right up to me and stood in front of me and said, stand up. And I'm like, okay, listen, I thought that it was going to be somebody trying to push my forehead down, make me fall down on the floor. So I'm like, okay, you know, but I'm still open because I'm here. So I stand up and I'm obedient. So I stand up. And she said, God told me to tell you something. And this lady started prophesizing over my life, y'all. She was saying things that nobody in that room could know about me. She was giving me messages from God that nobody could know but God. And then this woman told me that she saw 3 businesses for my life. And she said one of them would be in marketing. She said, and she saw 2 other businesses for my life. And I was there, but I had an out-of-body experience because I was there as someone who was doing business. I was there as somebody who aspired to be an entrepreneur. You know, and I was definitely there because somebody who had been praying for, you know, something to do, like more purpose in my life outside of just working. Like, how can I serve? How can I serve the people? How can I serve the youth, my family, my community? It's just so many things that I wanted to do. And so listening to her, I just like broke down crying and just was like, oh my gosh, like she doesn't know me. She couldn't know that I could possibly be here representing a women's entrepreneur expo. And she sang all these things. And she said a wellness business and a marketing business. And she didn't name the 3rd business, you know? And so at this convention, if you've ever been to an in-person convention and it's your first time, they give out some VIP seats. And Mr. Anthony McMurray gave me some tickets for the VIP seats down on the floor. And I was sitting down on the floor getting an up-close view. Now I'm like almost in front of the stage. Greg Provenzano is on the stage and he's talking, and in the middle, I promise you guys, I wish that I can give y'all this feeling, right? But in the middle of him talking, I had an outer body experience and was almost like back in the church with the woman prophesizing over my life, talking about these 3 businesses, and one of them being marketing and how I was going to help thousands and thousands of people in the world. This is what this woman said to me years ago. And I'm standing in the middle of this arena. I'm getting chills right now with Greg Provenzano just talking and talking. And I went back to that moment. And when I came out of it, y'all, it's almost like a movie, how like they go into dreamland and they come back and they got to like shake it off. It was like that. And I looked around and God said, this is it. And I was just like, OMG. I couldn't, but I just like, I know every single thing. That's why I say keep going and be all in, because I've had some obstacles in this business. I've gone through some things in this business, but God said that this is it. And when you pray for something, he will deliver. We can't keep praying to God and tell him how to deliver. We cannot. So every single person on this line has prayed and prayed and prayed for something. And if you've ever heard Mrs. Burt talk, if you've ever heard Mr. Provenzano talk, you know that this business is ordained and this business is blessed. You know, and as long as you do what you have to do, as long as you're on your spiritual journey, as long as you are growing, as long as you are putting in the work, as long as you are not quitting, you will get every single blessing that you deserve out of this business. But you have to just keep going and be all in. See, because the honeymoon phase was there. That's where the honeymoon phase started. I was excited. God said, this is it. Now we coming back. We getting to work. We getting customers. We getting business partners. There was an executive team leader. It was some different qualifications back then. I became a 30-day executive team leader. The bonus on the table was $1,500 at the time. You know, that created the honeymoon phase. Everything is great. This is great. Everything. Some people are saying, no, so what? Oh, well, I still got more networking, more networking, more networking, more network. And then the honeymoon phase comes to an end and then it turns into you got to do some work. You've gone through some of your network. You spoke to some people. Now you got to do the follow-up calls. Now you got to follow up with the people who weren't interested. Now you got business partners and you got to help them get customers, and you got to get on the trainings, and you got to take notes, and you got to really put some work into this business. So if anybody on this call tonight thought that you didn't have to put no work into ACN because it's so simple, that's not how blessings work. That's not how blessings work here. You have to put in the work here in ACN, because what you put out, you receive. And anything you put into this business, you will get back tenfold. So if you don't do anything, you're not going to get anything. You know, and so I started to like, whoo, okay, this is work. It's not as easy, but guess what, guys? My other message, everybody on this call has somebody that they can work with in ACN. Everybody on this call has a mentor in ACN. And if they don't have their upline, the person that introduced them as a leader, you have someone over them that is a mentor or a leader that can help you in this business. See, because I wouldn't have survived ACN going into year 5 without the mentorship, without someone being right there pushing and motivating me. See, so when your mentor, when we calling you, answer the phone. When you having a bad day and you don't want to get a customer, when you've been told no, when you've been trying to get rep after rep after rep and you've been told no after no after no, answer the phone, call your mentor. Because guys, if it wasn't for Miss Carla House and Mr. Anthony McMurray in this business, not just on the technical side of how to put services in, not just on it, but just the mental capacity, the things that you need, the push that you need, the quote that you need that morning, the text to say, you a superstar, you got this. You know, the person that sits with you and go over your real goals, your real number. If you're a CQ on this call and you want to hit ETL, go over where you are now and go over how you can, what you can do to get where you want to go. But you got to lean on the people in this business, because when the phase came of, you know, the work phase out of the honeymoon phase came, I had to lean on some stuff, because I've had some people tell me no. You know, I've had someone tell me no for 2 straight years in this business. Year 2, he decided to get into business. Now we have business partners all over the United States. He's putting in so many customers. He texted me today talking about regional director and really not playing with his business anymore. But this gentleman took my business across the globe after telling me no for 2 years, because I kept going and I was all in and I didn't quit. So you never know who's going to tell you yes. You never know. Like if you quit today, tomorrow is or the next hour is the time that you was really supposed to win in the business. You know, so you're going to go through things in this business. You're going to have people not support you on purpose. You're going to have people not support you just because they can't or they feel like they can't. You're going to have people tell you they're going to get in and they're not going to get in the business. But then guess what, guys? You're going to have massive people join your team. You're going to have 5 people, 10 people at a time join your team. You're going to have somebody join your team that get 20 reps in one day. You know, you just have to believe these things. You have to think big. You have to have vision, and you got to keep going, and you got to be all in. Because if you don't keep going and you're not all in, and you're not going to get nothing out of this business. And I learned that because I went through some things. As now I'm in ACN. Now I'm going through the journey. Now I'm making calls at work. I'm on my lunch break making calls. I'm talking to Miss Carla House and Anthony McMurray more than I'm talking to my boss, because I saw something. I saw this vision. I'm serious. Like, I was like foul at work. Okay, you start like I think Regional Vice President Mr. Kenny Newborn always say when he started making money in ACN, he started walking different at work. He started talking a little bit different to his boss, you know, exactly. So I started just acting real different at work. I'm acting like I don't got no curriculum to write for these people because I know I'm phasing out of writing this curriculum for these people because residual income and Greg Provenzano and Keon Lomax and Tony McMurray and Chanel Bird and Aaron Burr. I'm like fired up every single Saturday. Y'all sacrifice. I'm a yoga instructor. I run a youth program. I sacrifice every single Saturday. I've been in this business almost 5 years. I can probably still count on one hand how many Saturday training events I missed in person. And that's the day that I can make the most money as a yoga instructor, teaching on Saturdays, on the weekend. But I dedicated my time to Saturday training, and I got trained, and I kept going, and I was all in. And even when, you know, I went through building teams of people. There's another regional director on my team. People quit. People do things. You build teams, they fall. You got to build another team again. You learn things. You go through a process. You learn how to be a leader. You made a mistake with this business partner, but if you keep going and you be all in, you can fix that mistake with your next business partner. But if you don't keep going and you're not all in, you're not going to be able to learn from those mistakes and fix those mistakes. You're not going to be able to grow into the person that you need to grow into to be able to be the regional vice president or the senior vice president and to have that massive team of people and to build that massive stream of residual income for yourself, you know? So you got to keep going and be all in no matter what. And I keep saying that, guys, because some things that I've gone through in this business, now I'm in full-time entrepreneurship. I walked away from the job. We won't tell that long story, but I walked away from the job. I'm a full-time entrepreneur. Things are getting tough. I'm losing income. Now I lost income from the job. Now I got to figure out how to make ACN work. Now I got to figure out how I'm, working for so long, not really jumping out into the yoga field. So now I'm trying to teach in yoga studios and do ACN so I can still have some income coming in. Things happen. I lost my apartment. I lost my car. I moved in with Regional Director Carla House. People didn't even know I lived with her. Me and my son was living with her and her children for a short amount of time. For a long time, we was living with them. But guess what? We were still building. And I use that as, you know what? This is my why now. This is my why now. My son started having issues in school because guess what? He was a kid that was used to getting any and every single thing he wanted because I've always had what they say is money, right? Working security and, all I had to really, I didn't even have to work the whole 80 hours to get the check, y'all. You know what I'm saying? You gonna get the check regardless. So I was just like thinking that I had money, but now it went to, now we on a budget. Now you don't have your own room, and my son wasn't used to that. He's an only child. So now he's acting out. He don't understand the time I'm gone doing PBRs. I'm doing launches. I'm doing PBRs all in person. I'm on Saturday trainings every 3 months. We going to convention. My son was playing sports. I was the team mom, made sandwiches and oranges, traveled to every single game and championship. I never missed a football game of my son's from the time he played football from 6 until I got in ACN. Then I missed almost a whole season. I probably made it to 3 games that whole season. He didn't understand. But guess what? I kept working. I kept grinding. And we kept climbing out of situations. And then my mindset started to change. And so he hears how I'm talking. He hears the people that's around me because I'm bringing him to some of the events. He met Mr. Keon Lomax. He met Mr. Anthony McMurray. So now he has other people pouring into him too. And now guess what? My son back on track. He's back in school, magna cum laude, getting honor roll again, doing things that he got to do. Now my son is an entrepreneur. He's a music producer and he makes royalties, just like I make residual income. He doesn't have aspirations to get a job. He literally gets paid off of people listening to his music on streams. He's reading seven habits of highly effective teens right now. Because I just kept going. I kept getting that mentorship and that leadership, and I kept pouring into him. I was getting poured into. I was pouring into my team, but I also was pouring into my son and showing him that if you work hard, things will happen. And when you want to be an entrepreneurship, it's not going to be no easy ride on, it's not going to be a cakewalk. But if you just keep going and you be all in, you get climbed out of these situations and you'll be okay and things will get better. And he saw that. Now he respects that journey. He respects my time. So guys, keep your emotions out of the business. Keep going. Be all in. Don't let anything stop you in this business. And one last story about people supporting you, because I saw something on Facebook today family didn't support me in this, and people stopping doing things because they're not getting support. I told you the story about security. I have a cousin who does armed security. He's real into it, but he fails the range all the time. So he's out of work all the time. I've been trying to recruit him for a long time, but guess what? He'll come around. I called him. He moved into a new house with his wife, got every single service that we offer from somebody else. After coming to a PBR, saying he was going to get in, but then got every single service. So I called him, said he was in contract. This one time I'm going regional director. I called him with tears in my eyes, real tears, real tears. I mean, real tears. I didn't fake these tears, it was real tears. And I was talking to him about my story. I told him that whole story, insecurity, how I cried every day, how the code for bathroom insecurity is 44 for that company. So I said, cuz I was taking 44s every day, going in the bathroom, crying and crying and crying. And then I just told him my whole story, everything, poured my heart out like I just told y'all, and asked him to be my customer. I don't care about that contract. I need this. This is for the family. I'm doing something big. Y'all know what he said? He said he could send me the information for his security company. I just told him that I cry every day and I would never do that again. I would never put myself back into that position. I still went regional director in 3 days after he told me that. I could have let that stop me, but you got to keep going and you got to be all in. So a few tips that I just wanted to leave you guys with, because in the beginning of the call, I talked about how me and Carla House was talking about our new strategy for our DMO, a daily method of operation. You absolutely need that in this business. You have to have a daily method of operation. You have got to have a schedule for your business, and you got to stick to it, and you got to put the time in. Because some of the things that I've been like experiencing in this business is trying to figure out how to balance running a youth program, balance teaching yoga classes, balance building that business, balance building ACN, but the DMO will solve all of that. You got more time than you think you have. I'm talking to myself, I'm talking to y'all. You got way more time than you think you have. So put that time into your DMO. Don't forget why you started in ACN. Or if you forget why you started, if you forget that excitement, I constantly remind myself that woman prophesied over my life and how I had the vision that Greg P and how God said, this is it. Because I get down sometimes. People tell me no still. And I'm like, man, this is hard. And, I go through some like emotional things and I got to pull out my journal. But I always say, God said, this is it, girl. God said, this is it. And if you stop thinking about this thing, you're going to like miss your opportunity. And so another thing that a lot of people may not know, because you may not have ever been here, you start quitting this business in your mind before you really quit this business. So when things start to go, wrong for you, not really wrong, it's just the process, y'all. The process takes some time. You got to go through the process, right? Pressure bust pipes creates diamonds, so like you got to go through these things. But you will literally lose your focus and start to quit in your mind if you start to let every little thing bother you and you stop thinking about ACN, you stop getting on the calls, you stop thinking about how you can get better, how you can get production if you don't have production, how you can get a customer if you just go on about your little life willy-nilly. I'm telling you, you're going to quit ACN. You're going to quit, you're going to quit, you're going to quit, and you're going to miss out on your blessing. So one thing that I wanted to read from my book, Find Your Mantra, because I utilize a lot of my tools to keep going in this business. It says one day at a time. One day at a time is just enough. The past is gone. The future is yet to come. Live in the present, trust the process, and know that everything is going to work out one day at a time if you just keep going and be all in. So thank you so much, Mrs. Burke, for the call. I'm glistening. I got the fan going, but I'm glistening.
Wow. Man, like people are clapping and stuff. Man, listen, first of all, I got a couple things I can touch on. It's so funny when you were talking about how when you were at work, how things started feeling different, and how Kenny Newborn talked about how you walk different and stuff. But I remember that Aaron was over here because I was going to remind him when I was at work, we were dating when I was still working. And he used to ask me to go to lunch. We would go to the movies during my lunch break. We would be doing so. I'm like, you know what? It's time for me to quit because I can't be working like this. I can't be just being missing away from my job. Like I said, oh, something
Mrs.
ain't right.
Burke.
You know, he at home, I'm at work, something ain't right. So we just gonna have to put my 2 weeks in and I'm done. Like I just can't keep doing this.
Yes,
But
if Mr. McMurray, Mr. McMurray is on this call. I literally was riding with him. He was building a team in Lynchburg, but I was I'm supposed to be at work. I'm in Lynchburg, Virginia at a PV. So
man, I
yes,
was telling people sometimes this business can mess you up. You know, it can mess you up in a good way. It's crazy how things happen. You'd be like, man, I'm out of here. Like you just start thinking completely different, like you're already gone. But you
yes,
still had to be there, to, make money to live until you really start making money in ACN. But one thing that you really said, outside of just what you just read about the one day at a time, I think that was the perfect ending. One day at a time, just one day at a time. But when you say you never know who's going to tell you yes, a lot of times we focus so much on the no's. We focus so much on this person told me no. Well, if this person told me no, how am I ever going to get? If this
yeah,
person told me no, if I can't get this person, if I can't get my family, if I can't get, but you never know who's going to tell you yes.
yeah,
That was so awesome that you made mention of that because a lot of times people aren't thinking that way. They're thinking the other way. They're thinking about the people that are telling them no. But we always say every no will build you and every yes will build your business.
yes,
You never
absolutely.
know who's going to say yes. And you
Yeah,
just got to keep going and be all in, just like you said. Like, I know you had ups and downs in ACN, and I love when people have ups and downs. You know what I mean? Like, I know some people get promoted to RVP, it seems, in 30 days. Like some people have that story. And you're like, man, what are they doing that I'm not doing? But the stories where people really have to go through, and some people don't have that story in ACN because they paid a price somewhere else. Okay.
yes.
And I will say that. And we just don't know that price that they paid somewhere else. And so you get in ACN, you see these people hitting these positions, and you're like, man, why am I not doing this? What am I missing? And a lot of times we just have to continue to grow. But a lot of times, most times, it's that you're paying your price here.
Yep, yep. And I didn't say for the sake of time because I can be long-winded, but I've fallen out of my regional director position. I've fallen out of my regional director position and more money started going over my head. So when I got my position back, I told, Mr. Lomax and I told Mr. McMurray, like regional director really starts now. Because some people fall out of position and they just let it keep going and going and going and going. But see, I kept going and I was all in. And another thing that I really wanted to mention, guys, is like, I'm very passionate about yoga. I'm very passionate about youth development. Thanks to ACN, I have the time. I have my own program that's getting funded. I'm working with another person in ACN, that's like do this youth thing. But I'm very passionate about that. But we had a pandemic a year ago, right? And when the beginning of the pandemic, all the gyms shut down, all the schools closed down, the yoga studio I was working at shut down, don't even exist anymore. You ride past, it's all boarded up. So I lost income in the beginning of the pandemic. I watched all my income leave in emails. I had a contract with Bowie State University, Bowie Town Center here in Maryland, a big festival. Department of Youth Rehabilitation Services to do private yoga class. I'm talking about big contracts, and I watched all of it leave in an email over a span of 2 weeks. But guess what, Mrs. Bird? That residual income came, that check, and I had just got into a new bracket on that scale. And the check came, and I said, woo, God knew that it was going to be a pandemic 4 years after you said yes to ACN. And he ain't never let you quit because you needed this. Guys, I lost all my income. I had nothing but ACN to rely on when this pandemic started. So I just wanted to put that out there
And
as well.
yeah, I mean, you have definitely told and shown people how good God is, and you really just don't know what you're going to hear on these calls. And lives are being changed, not just businesses, right? But people's lives are being changed just by listening to all of you guys that get on here every single week. And I posted when you talked about how ACN used to be $4.99, and you said that's why I got in. Like, I worked hard all year. And so many people don't think about it like that. So many people say, oh, it's the end of the year. I got to use this. My Christmas is coming up. I got to use this for the holidays, instead of thinking, man, I worked all year and I'm worried about $499 and how it's going to affect what I can put under a tree. Instead of saying, I worked all year and I don't have this extra. I have to do something different, or next year and the year after that and the year after that and the year after that will still be the same.
Yes.
So, man, I am so thankful that you were available to be on tonight's call. Thank you so much for bringing your energy to the call. Everything, like just your presence. Like you're like, oh, babe, I'm sitting all on the computer, whatever. Like like your background and stuff. Like you're so comfortable and confident, and you can see that. People are like putting little hearts and all that stuff because
Thank
they know
you,
what I'm
guys.
talking about. Like your energy was just so awesome tonight. And I know people got a lot out of this call. I will be posting this as soon as possible. So thank you once again, Ms. Wheeler, for being on the call. And we're all rooting for you. We're all cheering for you to see how many more people that you can help in this
Yes.
business. And guys, this is our Women Winning Wednesday call. So once again, you never know. You just never know what you're going to see, what you're going to hear. It can change everything. So we look forward to seeing you guys next Wednesday night. Make sure you're promoting for your meetings this week and your Saturday trainings. And don't forget the next Game On event in June. Make sure you get pre-registered. Make sure you get an army of people registered to attend that with you, because you just never know. So thank you so much for jumping on. Thank you so much, Ebony, again. And I look forward to seeing you guys next Wednesday on our Women Winning Wednesday night call. Have a great rest of your night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.